Hey everybody, and welcome back to another book review. So I just finished arguably one of the hottest books that has come out this year. Everybody is talking about it, and it's pretty rare that I read books right when they come out or like shortly after they come out. It's pretty rare for me to do that. But everybody kept talking about this book, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll read it. But I would have read it at some point anyway, just because it is Viola Davis. So the book is Judge Stone by Viola Davis and James Patterson. They co-wrote this book together, which I've tried to figure out and find out like what the percentages of like he wrote versus she wrote, because I'm just curious. But either way, really good book. 5 out of 5. Like, truthfully, no notes. It's pretty rare that I say no notes to a book, but like truthfully, really don't have any notes. So the book again is called Judge Stone, and it's about a judge in Alabama, rural Alabama, named Mary Stone, and she it's kind of loosely got two kind of stories going on, where she is kind of in this point in her, both in her personal life and in her career, where she's just not feeling as fulfilled or complete, and she's kind of starting to struggle a little bit just with being exhausted and tired. And later in the book, she talks about that she's just so tired of being the strong one in the family with her sisters. But she's a judge, and she presides over some pretty basic case. She's a circuit judge, but most things are pretty chill until they're not. And so there's a young girl in her town named Nova Jones who doesn't fully accuse a doctor, but it becomes this thing where a doctor is accused of performing an abortion on a 13-year-old child. And the issue is not that it's so much the illegalness of it, it's more about the fact that it's a 13-year-old girl. And they're in rural Alabama, so very conservative area, even though they talk a lot about the fact that this town is very mixed, so like pretty split black-white. But even still, it's a very conservative area, and so everybody, of course, is up in arms about this. And so throughout the book, it's written from predominantly Judge Stone's angle, but you also hear from Nova's angle. You hear from the doctor, Dr. Bria Gaines. You hear from her angle as well. And there's a couple other characters that get like a chapter or two, but not a lot. Most of it is the three kind of main characters. But yeah, so the judge gets thrown this case, and it's just a really tough case. And throughout the book, you find out more and more pieces about not just the town, but also the judge. So she is the oldest of 3 girls, and she's the one that inherits the family farm, and she's the one that's kind of been working the family farm. And so she's struggling with the fact that like she's a single woman who's living out in the middle of nowhere and has to run this family farm. And her sisters are close by, but it's not like they do a ton to really help her. It's kind of just left up to her. And she struggles a lot with that. And then you also later learn that the judge had a very similar experience to Nova in how she became pregnant. So it takes a while. I mean, I figured it out pretty early on, that like everybody was saying, oh, Nova went to a party and there were some older boys and there was just drinking and drugs, and that's how she got pregnant. Like, she just doesn't really remember. But I was like, I feel like she was probably assaulted in a way that that she just doesn't want to talk about or doesn't want anybody to know about. And I was right. So it turns out that she was actually assaulted by some older boys, but some boys that have some kind of ties to the local KKK group, which like is another angle in the story. There's a lot going on in the story, and Judge Stone kind of talks about the same thing happening to her when she was not quite as young. She wasn't 13, but she was definitely much younger than what she would have liked to have been for her first pregnancy. And it kind of colors her experiences, have colored, how she judges and how she handles things in her courtroom, which several of the lawyers try to get her to recuse herself from different cases, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's just, there's a lot going on. In the end, the doctor does get off free. Judge Stone overrules the jury. She cites an Alabama law that allows her to do that. And her reasoning goes to the facts of the case, which throughout the case, they talk about the fact that the prosecution built their entire case around the fact that Nova said that she was at a party, which come to find out she was not at a party, she was raped. But that's part of the reason why Judge Stone throws out the case is you are presenting fact as if this is fact and it's no longer fact. So there's a lot of that. And if the doctor had not got off, I would have been very curious to see kind of where they went with the story after that. But there's a lot in the story. And it's just really well written. I mean, I love Viola Davis as an actress. I did love her book, Finding Me, awesome writing and stuff. But I don't know, I kind of want her to write more novels, but I want her to do them by herself. I mean, it's not to say that James Patterson is a bad writer. I mean, he's a world-renowned writer. But I always really struggle with partnered books, especially when one of the names is excessively popular in one sphere. And I just, really want to know percentages, how much of this is really fair, not that Viola Davis needs money or anything, but I'm just curious, So yeah, Judge Stone. Like I said, everybody's talking about it. It was funny when shortly after the book came out, somebody at school said they were reading it, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I didn't think too much about it. And then another teacher came into my room. She goes, you've got to get this book. And it's a person that I didn't think was a reader or anything. And she literally could not put the book down. She was trying to read instead of teach, which is never good. But at the same time, also good. It's a good book if you can't put it down. So that was really nice. Like I said, pretty much no notes. I think if I had to be nitpicky about something, it would honestly be there were several elements that I just felt weren't really tied up at the end, which is okay. It wasn't end of the world situations, but I was just okay, but what happens to this person? What happens to this person? What about this person? I just kind of really cared about those other characters, which I think is one of the strong points of the book, is that you cared about all the characters and what was happening to them, even if they were bad people. You just wanted to know that something happened to them, which I think it's kind of hard for authors, especially in modern day. I just feel we're missing that in a lot of books, of just the connectivity with the characters and wanting to figure out where they're going and stuff. So that would be one of my things. But I truthfully can't really think of anything else. Like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 5. It's just so good. I fully want it to be a movie, TV show, something, preferably starring Viola Davis. The audiobook is read by Viola Davis, so I jumped in on that because, it's just it's cool to have her reading her own writings. But like also like the character is her. It was kind of like listening to or watching How to Get Away with Murder again. You know, just that it just kind of had that same feeling of just like you never know where things are going to go. And everybody talks about the big plot twist, or everybody online is talking about a big plot twist. I did not find a big plot twist. I was able to kind of predict everything that happened. Like it was very predictable, like where it was going, but like not in a bad way. Like it wasn't so predictable that I was like, oh man, like I already knew this was gonna happen. Darn. Like it was more of just like, okay, we know this is gonna happen. It's more of the getting to that happening that was like very much the ride and very much the journey. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you so choose. Again, Judge Stone by Viola Davis and James Patterson. Really good book. Just came out this year. Still really fresh because it's only July. I think it came out in March. So, like, really good book. Everybody's talking about it. So yeah, go pick that one up. And I think that's it. So I will see you in the next book review. Bye.